Welcome to the Joy Prescription Podcast. Here you will learn the keys to build stress resilience and create a life of vibrant health. We are here to help you prevent and reverse chronic disease so that you can live your life to the fullest and walk in your God-given purpose. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Cynthia Liebert.
And I'm Brooke Jack.
Now let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Dr. Cindy Liebert here with my co-host, Brooke Jack.
Hello.
Hello. And today we are talking about a very timely topic, which is minimizing stress over the holidays. And I don't know about you, but if you're a mom, or really a human in
that's right.
time and season, it can be really frenetic and stressful, and there can be a lot of grief and challenges that come up for us during the holiday season. That's not a surprise to anyone listening, but today we just are wanting to share really practical encouragement and tips and lessons that we've learned from our own life about how to keep a lid on that stress during the holidays. So, and also we have a really big, exciting announcement at the end of the podcast. So you'll have to stay tuned to hear that. So I'll get us started and just share. Personally, I have dealt with some perfectionism, especially early on in my motherhood journey. I remember the very first Christmas when our Leah was a baby. She's 18 now and in college. But when she was a baby, I somehow thought that it was my job to provide a Martha Stewart Christmas in every aspect of life, in terms of picking out these, perfect, thoughtful gifts that are beautifully wrapped, and all the people in our life, and baking and decorating and holiday cards and just all of the things. And I remember a very wise woman spoke into my life at that time, and it was a lifesaver for me. She said, can't do everything well or perfectly, but she advised me to pick one thing and do it well every year, have that kind of be my thing. And I really ran with that. I ended up picking holiday cards, Christmas cards, to send out to my friends and family, because of course it's an opportunity to take a picture of the family and watch us grow over time and communicate with friends and family and stay in touch. And that's a high value for me. So that was something I did, and I'm proud to say I've kind of stuck with that idea of, doing that every year. And I'm actually, since it's 18 years now,
wow,
I'm even getting to the point where I feel like a little bit of freedom around, I don't have to do this if I don't want to. I probably will. But, and it's not that I don't do anything else, around the holidays, but the pressure is off in all the other areas, because that's my one thing that I do. So I just wanted to share that story in case that speaks to anyone out there, any new moms or young women or older women. Sometimes we get caught on the trap of expectations of what other people come to expect of us, traditions and things which are really precious to our families, but it can build up over time and just lead to a lot of pressure and tension, and that's not what the season is all about. So I wanted to share that. How about you, Brooke? Have you gotten any lessons over the years of being a mom? And
Oh yes. I definitely have had that inner dialogue of, you're not doing enough, or need to make this more special or memorable, or all the things. And, and I love socializing, and I love all the fun things around this time of year, and I keep thinking, I'm going to take the kids to a Christmas parade one of these years. And it seems like, something interrupts that, or we just haven't gotten to that. And I've become okay with that. We love to go see the gingerbread house competition at the Grove Park Inn, but again, we wanted that to be an annual tradition. Because Lucas and I actually submitted an entry for this year we were married, which is a really funny story because I was brand new to the Asheville area. We got married in September. The competition is like in November. So, I mean, we're talking about, we've been married for a few weeks when somehow I became aware that there was a national gingerbread house competition locally. And I thought, wow, I thought, man, I bet you have to win like some kind of regional competition before you can get to the national competition, because I had been in competitions all my life with baton twirling and things like that, and dance. And, you didn't get to go to the nationals unless you had some regional, wins or placement in top 3 or something like that. So I was thinking, oh, well, I want to go see all of this. And as I started exploring, I realized it was open to anyone. And I said, oh, babe, we can do this, Now, again, I was young. I was 22. I was naive, to say the least, to the world of gingerbread making, house making, and gingerbread making in general. I had never baked homemade gingerbread ever. And so I got this, wild idea that we should enter something. And, it would have been wise if I had done some research, perhaps, and looked at previous winners and things like that, just to get, an idea of what we were dealing with. But no, I was just like, we're going to make a gingerbread house. And since we had just come from our honeymoon in Charleston, I was like, let's do Rainbow Row and let's make, some colorful, like a little row of colorful houses. And, I thought I was being all fancy by piping ivy leaves down the side of a chimney, And so we stayed up till like 1 a.m. finalizing, because again, in my lack of experience, didn't realize how, involved all the little parts of decorating a gingerbread house really was. And anyway, we worked ourselves to exhaustion and had to get up super early the next morning to be there to deliver. And, they had it divided by child and youth and adult entries. And so, I'm feeling all proud of this little gingerbread house that I've given birth to, and we walk into the room and they're like, what, category is this? Child, youth, or adult? And we're like, oh, it's adult, kind of a thing. And we start walking past all the rows of tables that they have, covered in these black tablecloths where they've got all the displays with your number, and the judges are already starting to kind of walk around and preview. And I'm walking and I'm looking. And as we get past the youth tables, and I'm thinking, oh no, we've missed it altogether. And I was oh my goodness, I felt like a tiny little ant sitting our entry down on the adult area where these magnificent creations. But anyway, that was a very good, humbling learning experience. And I have so much respect for the artisans and the bakers that do those elaborate gingerbread houses. But that had inspired, us to take the kids every year to see the gingerbread house displays and appreciate the creativity. And so we try to do that each year, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And again, I've come to just be okay with what does happen and what doesn't happen as far as like outside the home holiday engagement. The main thing that Lucas and I have decided to focus on each year that we, without fail do is we participate in like Advent readings with our kids. And we use a book from Lucas's childhood. So it's like a generational
Oh,
thing
how
now
lovely.
that's it's happening. And so every Sunday, of Advent, we do our Advent reading and song selection, and then we have special story reading that goes along with it, and it's just a collection of stories that people have written and submitted, and oftentimes have a good, moral or inspirational message. And now we've been doing it long enough where the kids have their favorites, and we let them, take turns picking on which story we're going to read tonight. Is it going to be the Red Mittens, or is it going to be Why Christmas Trees Aren't Perfect, or the Haughty Duchesses, or all of that. And they absolutely love it. And I've loved seeing their joy increase over the years about the anticipation of those stories being read and us having our evening time together. So that's one of the things that I think we've honed in on, to be very intentional about the Christmas season and what it's about, and do that, with our children, and just passing along some of those generational traditions. And the things that are outside the home are, up for grabs year to year as our schedule allows, and, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, that is so rich, Brooke. Thank you for sharing. That's a great inspiration. I figured let's just share some tips with our listeners about other things that we all can do to make the Christmas season more peaceful and joyful, and focus on the reason for the season. So I'll go first. Number one, I am very committed, especially this year, to minimizing junk. Not buying things that we don't need, or that's just going to have really no lasting value or really add joy to our life. And that's wrapped up in, environmental respect for the environment, and not overspending, being wise with our budget. And I'm proud to say that I've been wanting to do this for years, but I've finally managed to get organized enough to make a little Christmas fund where once a month we add a little bit of money to a separate account. And that way it's not December and we have temptation to go into debt or anything like that. So I think that goes along with minimizing junk, minimizing spending, just being very intentional about our gift giving. And
I
also
agree with that. We have a little coin jar that throughout the year, loose change and things that we just throw into that jar, and then we end up using that to go toward Christmas gifts.
That's a great idea.
Supplement, the budget for Christmas. Yeah.
Super. And one of the things that my family has done for several years now is that instead of buying for the adults in the family, we all kind of pool our money together and pick out a gift for Compassion International. It's really neat to have a catalog of things. You could buy a goat, or medical care, or first aid packages, things like that. So it's really meaningful to be able to do that together as a family. So I would encourage all of us just to, look beyond ourselves and what we want and what's on our list, and to focus on others that are in need. And of course, there's such great need in the world today.
Yeah. And that is a great example of something, if you find yourself with people that you go, what could I get them? They have everything they need. Well, that same statement doesn't apply to many around the world, like you're saying. So that's a beautiful way to still honor them and show appreciation to them, but fund those monies to those who are in need. And I think that's a beautiful idea.
Love it. And high on my list is to stay healthy during the holidays and not sacrifice my sleep, to get wrapping done, or
Yeah,
because we have busy lives already, and
that's right.
to pack our schedules full. And when you add on all the extra parties and shopping and gift giving and baking and all the things that the holidays involve, it can be stressful. So
Right.
just prioritizing sleep and making sure not to overindulge in sugar, but at the same time, not being militant about
Yeah. Not
not.
being a Grinch about the sugar. Yeah.
So I try to just eat wherever I am the most nutritious options that are available. And especially when you go to parties,
Parties, yes.
I like to have some food ahead of time to kind of fill
Mm.
myself up. And that way I can pick and choose a little extra indulgence here and there and not get too crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's a great
Hydrating,
tip.
keeping yourself hydrated. And so just encourage everybody to be mindful about their self-care and exercise, keeping that up, because we don't, the weather tends to be colder and less inviting to go outside and walk and be active. But just really looking at ways that you can keep active, whether it's a membership at the YMCA or doing exercises in your home, in your living room, just having some sort of plan for the fact that it is likely going to be not great weather outside to be exercising. So what about you, Brooke? Do you have any tips for us?
Yeah. So I think minimizing stress is a big one for me around this time, just because there's usually a lot of responsibilities around in ministry and work world and family, and planning events and coordinating things, and just having to be like extra communicative to other people. And so one of the tools that I use is like calendaring and using a prioritizing task list, where I can list out like bullet journal style the must do task for any given day that I'm planning for. And I can have the maybe column of things that, okay, if I knock out all the must do's, then here are the additional things that are coming close to priority and need attention next. And then I have the other column that is like the not priority for today, but things that I can jot down that are on my radar, that are floating around in my mind going, oh yeah, I need to fill out that orthodontist consult paperwork that's coming up next week, and just to jot it down so it's not forgotten in all of the mix. But that has really helped me, because sometimes I can get in a flurry, in my own mind of just, okay, what do I need to be doing right now? What should I be focusing on today? And it really helps me to keep track of what really needs to get done. And that helps minimize my stress, because so that it's not a lingering, like, oh, that's not getting done, this person's waiting to hear from me, blah, 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 blah. People have questions, wondering what they're supposed to bring to this gathering, all of the things that come up. And it really helps me to go into each day more focused and knowing that, okay, I'm doing things in a timely manner. And it's okay if some of those things get pushed to the next day, there's a new list for a new day. But it does help minimize stress, so that I'm not like scurrying so much in my mind and just kind of haphazardly trying to get things accomplished. It really helps to streamline and focus that. And then the other thing that that I think is sound advice for minimizing stress around the holiday season, and so that it's more peaceful and joyful, is being selective about your commitments.
Mhm.
I think it's easy to make a lot of promises to your kids if you're a mom, about we'll go here, we'll do this, we'll do that,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and then even for yourself, especially, if you have a high compassion too, you want to help do a lot of things. And there's always opportunities for volunteering. There's opportunities for engagement with things. There's oftentimes, social invitations that are being offered. And
Mhm.
I think it's important to just be selective about your commitment so that you have, space to do the exercise, to keep your sleep routine intact and things like that, and to not then set yourself up for so much exhaustion by making promises or commitments. And I think there can be joy in spontaneity too. That has been a revelation of mine over time, that I
Absolutely.
have embraced more and more, because I used to be, when Lucas and I were early married, even when we were dating, there were things that I wanted to know, well, what are we going to do after this? Or where are we going here? After here, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, just wanting to know the plan, wanting to know the plan. And I had been like that since a child. I mean, my mother said that to me before, that, I always want to know what we were doing each day, and the order of things. And Lucas has really helped me to be more spontaneous, and I encouraging
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
in our relationship, and just, we're just going to take a drive and we'll see where we end up. Oh, really? Okay.
That's
Yeah, let's
super.
just
I
go
love
drive
it.
the parkway, and we'll just pull off somewhere and find a little trail to hike.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So that, but now I see the joy in that, and that just
Mhm.
being spontaneous, that, if that there's that parade, for instance, happening later in the week, and you don't want to commit to it, but then you find yourself with that opportunity, then you can just say, hey guys, we're going to go to a parade this evening, and it's not a have to, and you don't have all that pressure to contend with.
I love it. Yes. Well, I'm a big list maker too. It brings me a lot of peace and joy in checking things off the list for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
I love
Hmm.
you're bringing up the joy and spontaneity. That
Yes.
that's really important for those of us who are planners and like to have things all lined up. It's a source of joy that we can tap into.
Hmm.
And I guess I want to add also just TLC
Yes.
for our bodies, for our souls, having alone time and self-care. It's okay to say, I'm going to just take a quiet walk by myself. You can bundle up and get your coat and gloves on and bundle up and just go enjoy nature and time alone with God. Also, one of my favorite things to do is to take a warm bath with Epsom salts and
Mm.
lavender essential oil, just kind
Oh,
of
yes.
soaking the tension away and having that sensory experience with the essential oils and the beautiful scent of lavender.
That's one of my
Let's
favorites
see.
too.
Yeah. And in terms of health, also, there's things that I do, especially during the winter season, to try to boost my immune resilience, doing various herbal teas. Holy basil is one of my favorites. It's an adaptogenic herb that can help during stressful times. And, just making sure you're taking care of yourself, attending to any chronic medical conditions that you have or any symptoms that come up. It's important, especially as women,
Hmm.
that we
Hmm.
don't just ignore our symptoms.
That's right.
And, because we're so busy and there's things that we have to do, it's important just to slow down and understand that symptoms are our body's way of trying to communicate with us and to get our attention. So if you're having any kind of new symptoms, it's important to take time and address those and reach out for help if you need it. Call loved ones. If you're going through grief or depression or any kind of difficulty over the holidays, definitely encourage you to reach out to a counselor or your pastor or a loved one. Last but definitely not least is what you've already brought up, Brooke, is to remember the reason for the season. Remember why we're doing all these things. It's not just to entertain ourselves during the cold winter months. It's to celebrate God with us, that's Emmanuel. Right. And yeah.
That's it. If you break down the word Christmas, it's Christmas. It's a celebration of Christ. And that's what it really is all about.
Exactly. So I thank you for highlighting your routine of doing the Advent readings with your family and your children. That's such a special thing to do. And it's a lesson for all of us, inspiration for all of us. So now for our big announcement.
I'll do a drum roll.
Drum roll. So Brooke and I have had great fun with all of you sharing our message of biblical wisdom and lifestyle medicine since early this year, 2022, when we launched our first podcast. We've definitely had fun experimenting with this way of communicating. And our focus, as you know, has been on how to prevent and reverse chronic disease, how to build stress resilience, and how we can cultivate a life of vibrant health and connection. And we've loved sharing this message with a fairly wide audience, and it's brought us great joy. And we've gotten some positive feedback from you. So thank you for that. However, we are sensing God's leading to change things up a bit in 2023. And we feel called to reach out to a very special group of people, namely women in ministry and medicine. So the Joy Prescription podcast is becoming the Joy Prescription for women in ministry and medicine. Our goal is that we're wanting to serve a more targeted audience so we can have a greater impact and really serve our unique population well, because that's who we are. I'm a physician. Brooks leads a ministry, and it's we have unique challenges and joys and areas of growth that we're focusing on. And we just are excited about developing a community around women in ministry and medicine. So our intention is to create this supportive community where we can heal together, we can reconnect with purpose, we can really focus on self-care and cultivating our health while we're growing our ministries and work life and home life and sharing the love of Jesus with the world. So what this means for the podcast is that we're going to be taking a short break from releasing episodes in early 2023 while we're preparing to launch season 2, which we're going to have a new format. Instead of weekly, we're going to do monthly podcast highlighting guest speakers who can share their wisdom with our community and help us with our collective goals of being healthy and joyful, fruitful followers of Jesus in our various ministries and vocations. So our focus is going to continue to be around the intersection of biblical wisdom, lifestyle medicine, and health, but our content is also going to expand to include topics that can help women thrive in ministry, medicine, and life in general. So we're going to talk about relationships and money and entrepreneurship. And so we're really excited about this shift coming up in 2023. And we hope that you will continue to tune in and share this podcast with women in your life. So we wish you a peaceful, beautiful, lovely holiday season and a Merry Christmas from both of us. And
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.